What a career. What a career as we celebrate the contribution of the great Luke Breust to the Hawthorn Football Club. In fact, I think we should give him a standing ovation first up. I think we should be upstanding and celebrate this man. What a career. 308 games, third all-time for the Hawks. 553 goals, seventh all-time. 3 premierships. 5-time leading goal kicker, 2-time All-Australian. It's not bad for the boy from Temora. Great to have him with us tonight. Thank you, everyone.
Did you have to start like that?
I saw a little bit of moisture in the pupils there. Sorry about that, mate. Actually, before we start, can I get 2 glasses of champagne up here? Because I'm going to, after knowing the rules now that Sam Mitchell has set, that every time we say punky, he's got to drink some champagne, we're going to have a good time up here tonight. So can I get 2 glasses of champagne from someone, please?
I've got no skinfold target, so I'll have as much as I want now.
Mate, you'll learn to love it. Skinfold's disappeared 20 years ago for me, you can tell. It's great. It's magnificent. Hey, so you get that reaction, right? You've been here for a long time, 308 games, third all-time of this football club, coming off a rookie draft position, pick 47 in the 2009 rookie draft, and you get that response. How do you feel about that?
Oh, it's hard to comprehend, really, and put into words, but I love you guys so much. It's like the Hawthorn faithful. It took me a little while to find my way, but hopefully I repaid you guys in spades in terms of what I was able to produce on field. So,
Oh, you've done that, mate. Don't worry about that. You've set the bar very, very high for anyone else coming in. Look at these magnificent people at the Palladium providing some champagne for us. This is the sort of stuff we're after. So, you can have that one first. You're going to need that.
I'm hearing a lot of punky, so I'll just keep drinking.
Yeah, one for punky. So this is the end of your footy career, your time at Hawthorn.
Yeah.
We won't talk about that other club you're going to spend some time at in the future. We don't talk about other clubs. But take me back to when you arrived at pick 47 in the rookie draft in 2009. What did you think life was going to be like? From Temora, which I did a bit of research on today, North East Riverina, New South Wales, 90 k's north of Wagga, 4,016 people in Temora in the 2021 census. That's not a lot of people, Punky, and you've walked into the big city of Melbourne.
There's not a lot of people there. It's a great little town, very, very much made up of sport on the weekends and then school, obviously a farming community as well. So mum and dad are obviously on the farm, and that community is the lifeblood of Temora and what makes that town tick. I arrived at a host family that are here tonight as well. I hated it, to be honest. To be brutal.
Hated the family or Melbourne?
Nah, I just couldn't. As you said, I was a country boy. I got down here, had a week. I remember I had a week before Christmas training with Hawthorn after getting rookie drafted, and then got home. We used to always holiday in Kiama, which is like southeast, like South Coast, New South Wales. And I remember spending the week here and just like, Jesus, I'm not sure I'm cut out for this. Trying to do hook turns in the city. I'm nearly run someone over trying to drive past a tram on Waverley Road, getting out to Waverley. There's a lot of adjusting to do, but a lot of homesickness. I remember the early days. I remember crying coming back from Kiama just because I pretty much just didn't want to come back. I think that was the end of my second year. I was just like, it's just too hard. I'm trying my backside off. I had some attributes that everyone sort of kept saying, like, yeah, just keep working with it. You've got some things here that we can really work with, and you could become a player. But in my head, there was just so many doubts, and I just wanted to go home to my mates and my family and live a simpler life. But yeah, fortunately, kept forging ahead, and here we are, 17 years later.
So was there a moment where it crystallised that you were going to stay and fight it out? Was there something that happened that that kept you going, or was it just the persistence in you that you just wanted to keep having a crack until you worked out whether it was going to work or not?
Yeah. Mum and Dad gave me 10 grand after my second year because I was down on rent and bills and everything. So I probably still owe them that.
Oh, you tight ass.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I think the biggest moment for me in terms of making it, and it's sort of become famous now in terms of a story, like Sam always mentions it as well. But I started to feel at home at the level and belong at the level in terms of attributes, physicality and strength. We used to do these tackling sessions at Chadstone, and Sam hates me bringing it up because I stepped him a couple of times, but
he did tell me that pre-show.
Yeah. But that was probably the first time where I was like, okay, I had so much respect for Sam as a player, and he took me under his wing from day dot. But to see him play every single week for the brown and gold and what he could produce, and then I train against him and could make him look silly, it was nearly like, okay, well, there's something here to work with, and maybe I do have some attributes that I can actually make it at the AFL level. So that was probably the first time that I felt like I really belonged and that I could and have an impact at the AFL level. I still remember I had donuts in my first NAB Cup game, and I remember Clarko standing up the front of the meeting, and he's like, "Oh, where's Punky?" And I sort of put my hand up, and he's like, "How's it taste?" I was like, "How's what taste?" And I was like, "Donuts." and I was just like, "Wow!" Like it was so brutal at the time, but it was such a good introduction, and fortunately since then we've had some better times than that.
Yeah, you've come along okay since then, kid. You'll be fine. So was it always going to be Aussie rules? I mean, you're in a New South Wales, heart of rugby league. My understanding is you're a pretty good rugby league player as a kid too, and you had your family connections. Your cousin Trent Barrett was a legend of the NRL, Dally M medal winner.
Yeah.
So was it always going to be footy, or did rugby have your heart as well?
Yeah, so growing up, it was very much watching Trent play State of Origin and play for Australia, win a Dally M in '99. Watch them lose the grand final against the Storm in '99 as well. So everything is a younger guy. It was just like, okay, I just want to go and play NRL. You soon realise as a 15-year-old when you're 60 kilos and playing fullback or wing or whatever I was playing, it's just like, okay, you're probably not going to make it in the NRL. And then fortunately for me, I had the Swans reach out and
the other club in red and white, please.
Yeah, those northern clubs. Played in the flag with them, and from there it was sort of like, okay, I can see a genuine pathway to the AFL through the draft, and fortunately Graham Wright. Thank you, Righty, for seeing some of those games and then picked me up in the rookie draft.
And as you said before, you sit still basically for 2 years. You're playing in Box Hill. You didn't get a senior game in 2009, 2010. Yep. You debut in round 8, I think it was, in 2011 against the Saints. Tell us about that day. After all you'd been through and what you were talking about before, about the challenges you'd faced, that moment, what was that like?
I was pretty pissed off at Clarko, to be honest, because I started my second year, I think I'd kicked like 5-2, 5-2, 5 or something like that to start the year. And I was like, geez, I can't be doing much more in the Box Hill. Like, can I at least get a look in? And it was the same message. It was just like, okay, your defensive pressure needs to be better. You've got to work on these couple of things. And I sort of went away and fortunately played in the VFL state game through the middle of that year. And then the back end of that year, I started to get some groin issues. So I sort of tailed off in the back end of that year. And that was when like a lot of doubt started to come in. It was just like my body was letting me down, and then my form had dropped off as well. And then, you fast forward, I played, so to start my third year, I was back in twos. So you can imagine how far a third year guy feels away from AFL footy when he's playing Box Hill reserves. And then within a month, so I played Box Hill reserves one game, coming off the groins, played VFL the following week, the next week we had a bye. Matt Suckling and I went home to the Wagga Gold Cup, got blind, had a great night, and then I was picked on the Thursday night the next week.
So the beige diet and getting poleaxe works around here.
It works. It works. So yeah. So within a month of footy, I'd played 3 levels of footy. I'd played Box Hill reserves, Box Hill, and then debuted AFL. And yes, since then, never returned. I remember sitting next to Matty Suckling after my debut game down in the change rooms of the MCG, and we looked at each other and was like, this is pretty cool. This is pretty special. They look after you pretty well here. You get massage, you get all these extra stuff. And we sort of made a pact that day, like let's try and not go back to Box Hill for the rest of our careers. And he broke that in 2020, and then I broke it this year. So we had a pretty good run since then.
It was his fault, mate, not your fault. It was his fault. He went first. It's a great story of persistence. And you think about where we are now, 308 games later, after that start to your career, sitting there for 2 years trying to find a way, and then having the persistence and the resilience to stay the course, mate. It's an amazing feat, and you should be enormously proud. I'm interested in the relationship with you and Suckers and Isaac Smith, the Riverina boys. Was that helpful? Yeah,
for sure, especially early days. I remember driving home with Suckers a lot, back to the Hume. He would sort of... I was homesick, and I feel like he probably wasn't as bad as me because he'd been here a few years longer, but definitely any chance we got to get back on the Hume and get back to Wagga and Temora was pretty quick, and we organised it fairly fast. So it was a great relationship that we had. Isaac was another one, so I'd played under 12s with Isaac and had continued a relationship with him right up until he pretty much got drafted. So Righty was asking me about Isaac and what kind of person he was and things like that before he got drafted. So all those things helped. Taylor Dre was another one. So I'd played under 12s with Taylor Dre in New South Wales. So shout out to Doc with his retirement as well. Joining me with the Tigers as well. We won't mention
the club with the red, yellow and black, mate.
So all those sort of things helped. We had a great sort of contingency of New South Wales guys at Hawthorn, and it all helped with homesickness and just belonging at Hawthorn.
So those traits that you were talking about before, the characteristics, the step was obviously one. You had Mitch dancing in circles trying to get a hand on you. That was too hard for him. That was one. Then you had the fend off. People call it, the modern footy fan doesn't pay attention. They call it the Dusty. We call it the Breust around here because you were the fend off king. And you're playing in one of the hardest positions on the ground to play. That small forward, hybrid forward role is not an easy position to play. How much work did you have to put into your craft?
Yeah, well, fortunately, my old man, he kicked 100 goals in a season back home. So I feel like he passed on some great goal sense to me. I had to work hard. Like a lot of my attributes, so the side step and the fend off obviously come from the rugby league background and are quite hard to... Like a lot of the young guys these days sort of come in and they're like, oh, can you teach me how to do this? I'm like, well, I've been doing this since I was a 5 or 6 year old. So it's quite instinctive for me versus a lot of Victorians sort of want to raise their arms and things like this when they're getting tackled versus I'll sort of stick it under one arm and then try and fend off. The crumbing, I knew that I had a certain skill with crumbing, and I was like, if I'm going to play this position, I'm going to be crumbing to Ruffy, who's in the room, and Bud and these sort of guys who, if they're not marketing themselves, then they're bringing it to the front every single time. So I'm just going to go to school on exactly where I need to be, and I just need to be in the right spot every single time, and there's no question about that. So I just went to school on that with vision and things like that. I started to watch some small forwards. I was very lucky. You guys know Cyril Rioli. He was pretty good.
We've heard of Cyril.
Yeah, we've heard of Cyril. So Cyril was... I'd watch his tapes and pick his brain all the time in terms of what he was thinking and why he was in certain spots. And so it was all those things that then sort of added up to me, I guess, mastering that craft. And that's exactly what I wanted to do. It was just master the small forward craft and be as consistent as I could be at the small forward position.
which you did magnificently better than anyone, I reckon, throughout your career, mate. So you should be very proud of that homework. And we see behind us the three Premiership Cups are involved in 13, 14 and 15. Extraordinary performance. And while we do this in footy a bit, we focus on what we didn't get. The role of 2012 in those for you?
Yeah, it was absolutely massive. It's weird. I think it was actually our best team, like of the three. Like I think we went 19-3 during that year. Favourites for the grand final, playing against the Sydney side who unfortunately just got the better of us on the day. But yeah, is it? And I've heard a lot of people say it's just like if we win that one, do we then go on to win the next three? It's just like, oh, probably not. Versus you have the heartache of losing a prelim in 11, lose a grand final in 12, and then you go on to do this. So yeah, it played an instrumental role in terms of the three-peat.
What about your relationship with Gunners? When did that sort of become a real bromance? It's a bit sickly for many of us, but it's fine. When did that become romantic?
Are you talking about way back when, like when we first started, or
you start hooking up his brother, the skill shots and all that sort of stuff?
Well, he would have watched on. So I got dropped for the second final, maybe in 2011, before he transferred over in 2012. So he would have been thinking, oh, why are they dropping a forward? Like, what's going on here? But pretty much from the first moment he arrived, yeah, we just seemed to hit it off. And I said it in a lot of my retirement videos and speeches that you need a rival in your career, but someone who's also such a great mate. And that's exactly what we were. So as soon as he arrived, we would just compete with everything. If you wanted us to compete who could scull these two champagnes quickest, then we just do it.
I'll win that, by the way.
Yeah. But we just did that. So whether it was golf, goal kicking, in the gym with bench press and things like that, we just went at each other for the whole time and pushed each other to be better, and it's worked out pretty well.
So you've had a chance to reflect a bit in the last couple of weeks. Obviously, not the ideal finish with the knee, but you're milking that a bit too, just by the way. What have you thought? What are the things that have come back to you? Your favourite moments, your favourite people? What sort of stands out for you as we sign off on an amazing career?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think favourite moments for me would be like the hard work you put in to eventually get to a debut. So like there's a lot of guys that get on AFL lists and then don't get the chance to debut. So I think the hard work and, as you said, the perseverance and resilience to be able to get to a debut after sort of 2.5 seasons when there was so much doubt is definitely one I'll reflect on and be so proud of. These 3 cups behind me, obviously, I'll cherish forever. 2018 always comes back. So talk about Jack and I. So we sat down and at the end of the 2017 season and sort of said, okay, we've had multiple guys who are big names at this footy club who have sort of gone on and left, and we want to be a really good player in our own right. So what does that look like, and how can we do that? And in 2018 we were both all Australian and wanted to prove to the footy world that we could be really, really strong players in our own right. So that was another one. And then the back end of my career is probably more about how proud I am of this group, and I'll do some thank yous and shout outs sort of later on, but to take this group from where we were in sort of 22 when Mitch started to now being in a prelim this year, I think that's another proud moment of my career for sure.
Well said, mate. This is the last one. You and Anthea brought in the beautiful Freya about 17, 18 months ago. How has that altered your life, and how do you see that affecting your life going forwards?
Yeah, I felt so bad the last 2 weeks. So she'd walk up to me, especially like sooner, like a couple of days after surgery, and she'd put she put her arms straight up, pretty much like saying, "Dad, can you pick me up?" And it just broke my heart that I couldn't do it. And it's like now, 2 weeks later, it's finally clicked in her head that it's like, "Oh, Dad's a useless bastard. He can't he can't pick me up." So now we walk everywhere. So she holds my hand and we'll walk to change a nappy or get her breakfast or whatever. So she's been an amazing influence on both of us, to be honest. I sort of wish we maybe had kids a little bit earlier. But yeah, she's an absolute ripper. She's grown into such a beautiful little girl, and I can't wait for whatever's next for us.
I'll tell you what, mate, she's going to love YouTube when she's old enough to watch the highlights of your career. So we wish you nothing but success for the future. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please be upstanding with glasses charged? And for one last time with the amazing call that we hear around the MCG every week, thank 308 game veteran Luke Breust. Here's to you, buddy. Good luck. Luke Breust, ladies and gentlemen, what a player. What a career he's had in the brown and gold.
Just finish on a few thank yous.
Yep, you can say a few thank yous, mate.
I thought I'd be at a lectern, so apologies for the piece of paper. But I want 2 shout outs. So the first shout out I want to give is to the Box Hill Footy Club. Amazing footy club. I definitely wouldn't be the player that I am today without you guys. As I said before, I started in the Box Hill 2s and then through the VFL, and even going back this year. It's just a great environment, and a credit to Zane this year for the environment he created. But it's been a great footy club for such a long period of time. The second shout out I want to give is to the original leadership group. It's called Morty's Cooter. We call it the Morty's Cooter. When Sam first started, so you guys know who you are, and obviously led by James Sicily. But we were all first timers in a leadership group. So I'm sure Sam was probably looking at us going, "Jesus Christ, like what are we? Who am I working with here?" Compared to some of the names that he obviously had alongside him back in the day. But that crew was so instrumental in terms of getting us back to a prelim this year. But just their like Frosty and Jarman and Mitch Lewis and these sort of guys, Sis, I don't want to miss anyone. I think there was 7 of us that were in that original crew. But as I said, we were looking at each other just going, "Geez, how deep are we in here?" Like, as I said, we're all first timers, and to band together like we did and get this club back to where we want it to be is a credit to you boys. And I'm so proud of you guys, and I can't wait to see the next step that you guys will take next year. I don't want to take too much time, but so the Burts, Jason and Tracy are here tonight, but I can probably thank Jace. So Jace looked at me watching TV and he's like, "Why are you squinting?" And I was like, "Oh, I can't see the TV." And he's like, "Okay, we're going to the optometrist tomorrow." And from that day, I've pretty much worn contacts for the rest of my career. So I can thank Jace.
Thank God for Jace.
Yeah, for that. But they were my host family. They took me in and just made my transition into Melbourne life. It was already difficult, but they made it as easy as possible. And to their 2 boys, Hamish and Harrison, I'll be forever indebted into you guys and your family. To Anthony's family, you drop everything whenever you need to, and have been a great support for me and Anthony over 17 years, and I can't thank you enough. To my brother, Mark, and your 3 girls, Georgina, Maggie, Harriet and Beatrix. You've been a great support for me, the ones that I lean on, Mark's ability to reach out over the last couple of years when things haven't been going my way has been amazing. So I thank you for that. To Beck and Nath, they're in the room tonight. We love you guys so much, and your three girls, Ivy, Lexi and Molly. Beck moved to Melbourne in my second year, and like, who knows, like I was struggling at that time in terms of getting used to AFL footy and Melbourne life. So for her to move down here for 6 months and help with all that, and then the countless hours driving with Nathan and the girls to watch all the premierships and multiple games. As I said, it's an amazing, and it's when you've got brothers and sisters like that, you know you've been brought up in a pretty amazing family, and obviously that goes on to thanking mum and dad. This was in my retirement speech, but it's 539 kilometres from the front gate at the farm to my place in Melbourne. So the amount of trips that mum and dad have made, I sort of worked it out to be about 185,000 kilometres that they've driven. So it's just amazing. And there's two things that I always come back to with mum and dad, and it's composure and play your role. And it's obviously footy related. So dad's composure just to get shit done. Like, dad does not complain about anything, and he just gets it done. And then mum's just plays your role. She will do anything for her family, and it doesn't matter what it is. She just drops everything and is always there for us and her three kids and all the grandkids. So I thank you so much. And lastly, to my beautiful wife, Anthea and little Miss Freya, I love you guys so much. You're the why to my life, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for us. You've both brought so much joy to my life, and I thank you so much. The final thing I want to finish with is, everyone remembers Damien Monkhurst. So I called him during the week and I said, Monk, I'm gonna write a poem. And Monkey was famous for his poems, and so he was pretty proud of me. But he also said, are you telling me the 12 years we spent together, the only thing you took from me was my poetry? But I was trying to write down just what it meant to pull on the brown and gold each week, and how special it is. And as I said, I started to write a few paragraphs, and it just didn't feel right. So it's in poem form, and I hope you enjoy it. So here it goes. It's more than cloth, more than thread. It's history stitched where legends bled. The brown and gold, so bold, so true, carries the weight of those before you. Each strip recalls a battle won, a tackle, a crumb, kicking goals for fun. From grand finals on the MCG to grueling sessions at Waverley. It's family, it's mates, it's that bruised call to give your heart, to give your all. For when that jumper's on your back, there is no step, no inch you lack. And although I'll miss that moment still, pulling on that jumper, heart full of will, I'll always remember, proud and true, the weight of the brown, the gold, and that 22. Thank you, guys.
Puggy Brewster. The great Luke Breust. Well done.